So let me tell you how I learned about Jaime. When he was first here at APD, my first time here at APD for the first year, I was commuting, and one night I'm coming to the airport, and my wife and our young son, they got there before I got there, and you know, you're trying to deal with a toddler, and you're trying to deal with everything that comes with traveling, right? And so Jaime sees this lady, and she's in a little distress. So being the servant that he was, he immediately, without hesitation, went up, introduced himself as an Austin police officer, which his uniform was obvious, and not only helped her inside the airport, walked her to the curb and waited with her. And in this tragedy, Matt Baldwin, his buddy from St. Angelo, says, you know, he told me a story about your wife at the airport and your son. And I said, yeah. And he goes, well, you know what's really interesting is that he was so impressed that you were so appreciative, Chief. And what Jaime didn't understand at the time, I wasn't appreciative because he helped my wife, my son. I was appreciative that he helped a woman who had no idea. And he demonstrated what APD stands for, which is the integrity, the courage, being accountable, the respect, the ethical conduct. That he sat there and demonstrated the heart of a servant. And the funny part of the story is that he introduces himself, you know, and she says, oh, that's interesting. You know, as I drive up, he goes, that's my husband. And then Henry Aguilar, who's another guy that came over through PSM, our former department, and I kind of knew him in L.A. He's trying to be undercover, didn't want anybody to know I know him. And so Jaime starts saying to Tanya, hey, you know, I know this guy from L.A. You guys are from L.A.? And he calls Henry over, and sorry, Henry, but he gave you up. I saw you earlier, and yeah, I know you, Henry. Cookie Monster. And the airport people know what that's about. Won't leave it at that. It was an expensive cookie, right? By the way, we can tell you that story later with his permission. But it's that heart of the servant. That's what made him special. That smile that you see, those pictures weren't just picked to find a picture with a smile on it. I think the only picture you ever find of Jaime Padron without a smile is his Marine Corps picture, right? Because you got to be tough. But he always had that smile. And visiting with Mama and Papa over the weekends when Soy La Juan, she starts telling me the story. He was so thirsty to serve, right? 2 wars, 2 police departments, laid down his life, that he goes up to his mom, que Dios la bendiga, and if I would have known this, I would have probably fired him for lying to mom. But he says, Mama, I need you to sign this. Well, what's that mean, ¿Qué es? Oh, it's permission to go speak to the military recruiters, just to go talk to him, Mom. Little as you know, it was the enlistment paperwork to go serve in Iraq. But here's what made him really special, is that family was important to him. He had his priorities straight. See, we work to live, we don't live to work. And Jaime understood that. I was walking by earlier in the week by the main, you all know where it is, with Lisa, our court liaison, right? The place where I'm always late to meetings because I stop to talk to the cops and to get all the gossip, because let's face it, nobody gossips more than cops, right? You don't need a teletype, just tell a cop and they'll get all over the state by the end of the day. And Lisa, I shared this with the family, started talking to me. She started crying, as if everybody else has been crying this week. And she says, so I go in there and I hug her, and I said, Lisa, what's going on? And she says, I see him in that seat right there in her office. Because he would always come in here with a big smile on his face, and he'd always talk about how much he loved his daughters, how much he loved his parents, and his only regret, his sole and only regret, was that he had to live so far from his mom and dad and his brothers and sisters. And that says a lot about him. And so I'm going to tell you all something that I think I'm going to want you to know. If your life isn't in order, like Jaime's was, if your priorities aren't in order, if you're in a fight for petty reasons with somebody you love, you know, tomorrow may be too late. We know that now. Go out tonight. Make it right. Because I thank God that I've been dealing with a family who loved their son and whose son knew how much they loved him. I mean, this family is as real as it gets, and that is a blessing. He's in heaven right now with all the riches and all the promises that the Bible gives us. But it ain't fair, because that man had a heck of a life with the richness on earth. And so the Padron family, you are special. Amy, Olivia, Allie, all of you. You're now part of our family. We're never going to forget you. I've got a little 4-year-old that is going to like 6-year-olds as he gets older, and he might have an intermarriage. Little Matt, Jake, not Matt. And I'll tell you that I look forward to that day. But I got a message for the APD family and for all of you in law enforcement. What makes us special is the vast majority of us are Jaimes. I really believe that American law enforcement is the best on the planet. And the Austin Police Department, I can't say it's the best because I'd be lying, I don't know. But I know they're amongst the best of the best of the best. And after 5 years of leading this organization, I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I couldn't be prouder of our command staff, of our lieutenants, of our sergeants, of our corporals, but more importantly, of the men and women on the front lines. We wake up every day thinking, what do we need to do for you? And what this has shown us is that we've got 2,300 servants. We have 2,300 members of our department that are not wasting time with anger, because they understand what it's about. They understand that what happened Friday is not what this community is all about. They understand that anger is a wasted emotion. They understand that by showing compassion to this family, being here for this family, they're going to gather strength. And I promise you that although we're hurting today and we'll be hurting for weeks and months and we'll never forget Jaime, I promise you that we're going to be a better organization for this, that we're going to be a better city for this. You know, I've cried. You guys seen me. I'm a big crybaby. But you know what? Right now I have strength because I've been dealing with a family of deep faith. And that's what's given me strength. Right now we're moving into celebration mode, into capturing the moment mode, into moving the organization mode, into bringing this community mode together. Don't forget that smile, because what do we always talk about? A smile is a symbol of strength and confidence. Now, if you don't believe that, KITV on Friday night had a telethon, right, for about 2.5 hours. One of our officers answers the phone. The person on the other line says, "This is so-and-so, and I met Officer Padron under less than favorable circumstances." "What was that, sir?" "Well, he arrested me." "Oh, okay." It's kind of like when you write that ticket, you know, that product nobody wants to buy, right? Just trying to sell it. Well, if you can't sell, if those are hard to sell, you can imagine the rest. And he says, "You know, I don't have very much, but Officer Padron treated me with so much respect that I want to give $10 for his girls." And you know, when you get that kind of call, or you get that thank you at the end of a ticket, you know you've done things right. And I thank God that Officer Padron was the kind of officer that got that kind of call, that delivered that kind of service to a blonde lady with her little kid who had no idea what it was, that had that servant heart. And that's what we strive for. And if you want to honor Jaime Padron, you honor him by taking his servant attitude, keeping it close to your heart, and never going down to the level of the people that want to get you down from up here down to this level. Because when you do that, you succumb and you dishonor the sacrifice of this officer and his family.